If you're thinking about moving to the Treasure Coast and part of that decision involves the quality of schools here, this is one of those videos that you really want to watch. Because here's what I see all the time. Families move here thinking they found a great school district only to realize after closing that the school they thought they were getting isn't the one that they're zoned for, or they misunderstood a school rating. I also see them that they didn't realize how class sizes change as their kids get older. I see families move here all the time thinking Stuart schools are great all across the board, only to realize after closing, and it's not just the public versus private debate, it's zoning lines, feeding patterns, magnet programs, wait list, commute times, and neighborhoods that quietly outperform others without being obvious enough online to research thoroughly. So in this video, I'm breaking down the best places to live on the Treasure Coast if schools matter to you, what zones actually perform well, where families are really buying, and how to choose the right area before you fall in love with the wrong house. If schools are even remotely part of your decision-making process, you'll want to watch this all the way through. Hi guys, my name is Thiel. I'm a local real estate agent right here on the Treasure Coast, and on this channel I break down what living, buying, and selling on the Treasure Coast is really like, from neighborhoods and market updates to the mistakes buyers and sellers both need to avoid. So if you're thinking about making a move here, or if you already live here, hit subscribe because I post new local videos every week to help you make smarter real estate decisions. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through all the major public schools that serve Jensen Beach, Stuart, and Palm City. I'm going to explain their school ratings, their student to teacher ratios, and just as important, where this information comes from so you know exactly how to interpret it. Now here's the disclaimer. A lot of this stuff is very subjective, and the ratings doesn't necessarily mean it's a great school or a bad school. It's just the ratings that we have that we're using, and you can make the decision whether that school is right enough for you. Before we talk about which schools are the best, we need to talk about how school zones actually work here, because this is where most buyers get tripped up. One of the most common things I hear from family moving here is this: we're looking at Stuart because the schools are great. And they're not wrong. Martin County schools are very strong overall, but here's the problem. A strong school rating does not mean automatic placement inside of that school. Now let me tell you why these school systems are extremely important to me and how I can benefit to you if you're relocating here. When I relocated here years ago, I had a 7-year-old and a 7-month-old, so the school systems were extremely important to us. When we researched where to live in Florida, we literally had the entire state. I'm talking from the Panhandle all the way down to Key West, and we kept choosing Treasure Coast, Treasure Coast, Treasure Coast. Why? The school systems here were fantastic. Other schools here in the district are around in St. Lucie County and in Palm Beach County. They have great schools too, but it's just one of the main factors which we wanted to choose to live here was because of the school systems and how great they are. Having put my kids through most of the school systems already, I'm here to tell you they are fantastic, and I've become very close friends with many of the teachers, the school board. It's just a wonderful overall place to have your kids go to school here. Now on the Treasure Coast here, school assignments depend on zoning, capacity, and program type, not just your address. So here's how it really works. Number one, zone schools. These are the schools that you're assigned to based on your exact address. Sometimes the zoning line runs down the middle of a street. 2 houses across from each other can feed into different elementary schools, different middle schools, or even different high schools. This is one of the main reasons why relying on Zillow or Redfin is risky. Those sites often auto-assign schools based on proximity, not actual zoning rules. Now number 2 are choice and magnet programs. Now Martin County offers choice programs, but this is where expectations need to be realistic. Choice does not mean guaranteed. So when people hear school choice or magnet programs, they often assume it means they can send their child to any school that they want, and that's not how it actually works. A choice program allows family to apply to attend a public school outside of their assigned zoning, but placement is not guaranteed. In Martin County and across much of Florida, choice programs depend on the availability of seats in the school, the number of applicants, the application timing, and sometimes priority status. So even if a school offers choice, you're essentially requesting permission, not securing a spot for sure. This is where buyers get tripped up. I've seen families buy homes assuming they'll just choice into a certain school, only to find out later that that program is full or that there's a wait list for that year. So here's the key takeaway. Choice programs are opportunities, not promises. Now, let's talk about magnet programs. A magnet program is a specific academic program offered within a public school that focuses on a particular theme or specialty. Common magnet themes include STEM and technology, performing or visual arts, international studies, career vocational tracks. Magnet programs are designed to attract students from across a district, not just one neighborhood. It's kind of like choice programs. Magnet programs usually require an application, meeting eligibility requirements, and available capacity. Getting into the school does not always mean getting into the magnet program itself. Sometimes students are accepted to the school school, but not the specialized track. Now, the key takeaway here is magnet programs are specialized tracks inside of public schools, not an automatic placement. So why does this matter for home buyers? This is where real estate decisions and school planning collide. If a family buys a home outside of a school zoning and plans to rely on choice or magnet programs, they're taking a risk. If that placement doesn't work out, they may end up commuting farther than expected, switching schools unexpectedly, or regretting the neighborhood choice. That's why I always tell families, if a school matters, make sure it works without choice first, then treat choice or magnet as a bonus, not the actual plan. I've seen these buyers assume we'll just choice into that school and then find out after closing that there's a wait list or no additional availability that year. Now let's talk about capacity changes and boundary adjustments. Another thing that people don't expect, school boundaries can shift over time due to enrollment growth, new developments, or capacity balancing. Now this doesn't happen consistently, but when it does happen, it is one thing that you have to be careful of, which is why smart buyers don't just ask what school is zoned for that day. They ask, how stable is this zone historically? Now listen, we in the Treasure Coast of Florida have seen a massive influx of people moving here because our little town, we have seen a lot of new developments come in. We're talking condos, new home development, single family homes. So this all could affect zoning, which is why it's so incredibly important that you speak to a licensed real estate agent about which school zone you're looking for, which school you're looking for. So listen, now that you understand how zoning really works, let's talk about what areas consistently perform the best and where families are actually choosing to live for schools. If public schools are your priority, Martin County is where most families start, and for good reason. Martin County consistently ranks as one of the strongest public districts on the Treasure Coast and in the entire state of Florida. And what really matters here isn't just one school, it's the feeding pattern. So why do feeder patterns matter? A feeder pattern is the elementary, middle, and high school pipeline that your child follows. Now, a strong feeder pattern means consistent academics, stability as kids move up, stronger resale value in those neighborhoods. These are all main things why the feeder pattern is so incredibly important. Now, before we talk about individual schools, I want to set expectations because school ratings are often misunderstood. The ratings I'm referencing today primarily come from greatschools.com with supporting data from Niche or School Digger and information published by the Martin County School District. These platforms look at everything such as, standardized test scores, academic growth, graduation rates, and sometimes parent feedback. Now, here's a very distinct thing. A higher rating doesn't automatically mean a school is perfect, and a lower rating doesn't mean a school is bad. Ratings are best used as a comparison tool, not the only deciding factor. Remember, context always matters. So let's start with Jensen Beach because this is one of the most popular areas for families relocating to the Treasure Coast. Now, Jensen Beach Elementary serves students from pre-K through 5th grade and is widely considered one of the strongest elementary schools right here in Martin County. On Great Schools, it typically earns a rating of around 9 out of 10, which places it among the top elementary schools in Florida. One of the reasons parents love this school is class size. The student-to-teacher ratio sits around 14 to 15 to 1, which is excellent for a public school and usually means more individual attention during those critical early years. Another reason is the district completed a full restoration of the 50-year-old school, opening the brand new campus in 2023. This school alone is a big reason families thoroughly target neighborhoods that are zoned for it because it has a long track record of consistency and stability. Another elementary school that often surprises buyers is Felix A. Williams. While it's physically located in Stuart, it serves several Jensen Beach neighborhoods depending on the exact address that you live. Now, Felix A. Williams typically carries a great school rating of about 8 out of 10, which is above average statewide. The student-to-teacher ratio here is usually around 15 to 1, which is very similar to Jensen Beach Elementary and still considered very strong. This is a great example of why zoning matters so much. 2 homes in Jensen Beach can feel identical, yet one feeds into Jensen Beach Elementary while the other feeds into Felix A. Williams. Both are solid schools, but knowing which one applies to your address matters before you buy. Now, at the high school level, Jensen Beach students generally attend Jensen Beach High School. This school typically sits around a 6 out of 10 on the Great Schools ratings, which places it in the upper half of Florida public high schools. The student-to-teacher ratio is roughly around 21 to 1, which is very typical for a public high school. What's important to understand is that high school ratings are influenced by many more variables than elementary schools. Jensen Beach High offers programs like engineering, capstone, architectural and journalism, as well as dual enrollment, athletics, and a wide range of extracurricular activities. Students who engage with these opportunities tend to do very well. Now that's Jensen Beach, so let's talk a little bit about Stuart schools. Stuart is a little bit more complex when it comes to schools because there's more variation depending on the neighborhood. For elementary schools, we have Crystal Lake Elementary, which is a common option for many Stuart families. It generally receives ratings in the 6 to 7. out of 10 range on great schools, and their student to teacher ratio is typically around 14 to 1, which keeps class sizes manageable. Now, another elementary option in Stuart includes Port Salerno Elementary School, which tends to have lower ratings, often closer to the 4 to 5 range, and slightly larger class sizes, usually in the 16 to 18 student per teacher ratio. There's also J.D. Parker School of Technology, which operates more like a magnet program and appeals to families looking for a more technology-focused environment. Then we have Pinewood Elementary. That place is located in South Stuart. Both of these schools perform at a level of around 5 out of 10 on great schools. Now, for high school students, generally they attend Martin County High School or South Fork High School. Both are larger high schools with student to teacher ratios typically around 21 or 22 to 1, which is standard for public high schools. Ratings vary year to year, and outcomes tend to depend heavily on student engagement as well as course selection. Martin County High School specialty programs include Cambridge ACE, CTE, or other career technical education, AP, and much, much more. Now listen, as for South Fork High School, check out their International Bachelorette program or advanced placement courses as well. Now we've talked about Jensen Beach and Stuart. Let's hit Palm City. Now Palm City is very popular with families who want consistency and predictability. Now at the high school level, Palm City Elementary School is one of the highest rated schools in the area, often earning a 9 out of 10 on great schools. Class size here are usually smaller, with student to teacher ratios of around that 14 to 15 to 1, which parents appreciate and they love. Another standout school is Bessie Creek Elementary, which also typically earns ratings of around 9 out of 10 and maintains a similar 15 to 1 student to teacher ratio. Now these two schools are a major reason Palm City remains so attractive to families with younger children. Now, as for high schools, most Palm City's residents attend Martin County High School or South Fork, which I just mentioned earlier. Everything we've talked about so far, Jensen Beach, Stuart, and Palm City, really highlights why families focus heavily on elementary schools first. Smaller class sizes, higher ratings, and that sense of stability in early academic life matters a ton. But here's where things get really complicated, and honestly where I see the most confusion. Elementary school is obviously just the first stop, but what really shapes a family's long-term experience here is what happens next, the middle school that your child feeds into. This is where class sizes change, expectations shift, and differences between zones becomes much more noticeable. In addition, it's middle school, and let's face it, we all didn't like middle school. Well, at least most of us. And on the Treasure Coast, especially in Martin County, there are significantly fewer middle schools than elementary schools. That means zoning lines become wider, feeder patterns matter more, and two homes that feel almost identical can end up in very different middle school paths. So now that you understand how elementary and high school picture looks in Jensen Beach, Stuart, and Palm City, let's zoom in on middle schools themselves. Which ones families talk about the most, how they actually perform, and what their rating and class size really tells you before you purchase a home here. One of the most talked about middle schools in the area is Hidden Oaks Middle School, located in Palm City. This school serves a wide range of neighborhoods across Palm City, depending upon exact zoning boundaries. On great schools, Hidden Oaks typically earns a rating of about 7 out of 10, which places it above average compared to other Florida middle schools. Now, according to Niche, the student-teacher ratio is around 19 to 1, which is fairly typical for a middle school. Families often view Hidden Oaks as one of the stronger middle school options in Martin County, especially because its academic consistency and enrichment opportunities. Another major middle school serving the Stuart area is Dr. David L. Anderson Middle School. Anderson Middle serves a large portion of central and southern Martin County. While its grade school ratings fluctuates year to year and isn't always predominantly listed, it consistently appears in niche rankings as solid mid-range middle school within the district. The student-to-teacher ratio here is generally around 18 to 1, which suggests that class sizes are manageable but still larger than what families may be used to be at the elementary level. Now, many students from their schools go on to Martin County High School or South Fork. Now, located closer to downtown Stuart is Stuart Middle School. This school typically carries a grade school rating of around a 5 out of 10, which reflects performance close to the state average. Now, according to Niche, their student-to-teacher ratio is approximately 19 to 1. Now, Stuart Middle often receives mixed reviews, which is common for centrally located schools that serve a very diverse student population. For some families, it's a perfectly acceptable option, while others prefer to focus on zones that feed into different middle schools. Now, I can tell you this, Stuart Middle School, I know the principal there very well, and I know the staff. They are fantastic people. Another school that frequently comes up in conversation is Murray Middle, which serves the Port Salerno and Southern Stuart areas. Now, on grade schools, Murray Middle typically receives around a 4 out of 10, placing it a little bit below the state average. Now, data from Niche and Homes.com shows student-to-teacher ratio generally falling between 17 and 18 students per teacher, which is slightly smaller than some of the other middle schools in the county. Now, while academic proficiency scores tend to be a little bit lower here compared to other Martin County middle schools, it remains remains an active community school, and experiences can vary significantly depending on the student. Now, when you look at these middle schools as a whole or side by side, the most important takeaway is that there's no one single best for everyone. Hidden Oaks tends to be the most sought after based on ratings, and then Anderson and Stuart and Murray, all of them fall soundly in the middle school. This is also where zoning becomes critical. In Martin County, there are fewer middle schools and elementary schools, which mean boundaries are larger and more impactful. Two homes that are only a few minutes apart can feed into entirely different middle schools, and online listings often get this information wrong. Now, listen, please pay attention to this part because this is where buyers get burned, and it usually has nothing to do with the house itself. One of the biggest mistakes I see is trusting listing descriptions. Phrases like "great schools nearby" sound reassuring, but that does not guarantee zoning or placement. Nearby and zoned are not the same thing. Another common issue is waiting too long to verify schools. Once emotions are involved and a house feels perfect, it becomes much harder to walk away, even if the school situation isn't ideal. I also see families underestimate daily routines. A school that looks perfect on paper can quickly become exhausting if the commute dominates your mornings and afternoons, especially during congested winter months. The quality of life matters just as much as rankings. Remember, during the winter months, we have snowbird season and our population almost doubles, so traffic can be so astonishing during this time, and your trips to and from school will definitely impact that feeling. So you may be asking, how do smart families choose the right area? Well, the families who end up happiest here take a step back and think holistically. They ask whether public, private, or other flexible options such as charter schools, and we do have a few of those, if they make the most sense. They consider how many children they have right now and may have later. They think about the commute tolerance, extracurricular activities, and how long they plan to stay here. From there, I match school options with lifestyle, not just scores. I verify zoning early, discuss backup plans, and make sure that there is nothing left to assume. That thorough process is what prevents regret, and it's why planning matters more than rushing into a decision is. At the end of the day, the Treasure Coast offers excellent opportunities for families, but only when decisions are made with clarity. There isn't a single best school zone that works for everyone. The best choice is the one that fits your family's needs today as well as tomorrow. This is why it is so incredibly important to work with a licensed real estate agent in the area. I've relocated here with kids, so I understand the nuances and the things that you have to do to make sure that this is a right decision for you. So if we haven't met yet, my name is Thiel. I'm a local real estate agent right here, out here on the Treasure Coast, and this channel exists to help people relocate to the Treasure Coast smarter with honest local insight about schools, neighborhoods, and lifestyles, so you don't have to guess. And if this video helped you, please make sure you subscribe. I post new local videos every single week, and if you're thinking about moving here and want help choosing the right school zones before you buy, my contact information is below. I'm happy to sit with you and help you plan the right way so the move you make is a perfect one. As always, my name is Thiel. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Boom!